Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network, on Real America Voice, the rebranded americasvoice.news. Dish Channel 219 on Newsmax TV and 70 million homes under the leadership of Chris Ruddy and the team down in Palm Beach. Real America Voice from out in Colorado. John Fredericks in Richmond, Virginia. G News GTV blows us out in Mandarin every day, makes us the biggest show in the known world. Want to thank, we're on Roku, Pluto, Citizens of the American Republic, Facebook pages all over. And linked everywhere, even the guys, and want to thank the guys at Citizens Free Press, linked to the show live every day. Yep.
Raheem? I was going to say Citizens Free Press, link it in.
Yep.
Real America's Voice.
Real America's Voice.
Yeah.
I like that. It's
America's
catchy.
Voice.
Is it Rav?
Rav.
And also over 14 million downloads in the podcast. And what makes that so amazing, we're ubiquitous. You can get us everywhere. But people still go to the podcast for breakdowns. So remember, your three things you have to do today. Hashtag War Room Pandemic, the live stream everywhere. Number one, blow out this content on the show. We give it to you in pieces. We give it to you in big chunks. We give it to you the whole show. It's your responsibility to blow the show out. Number one. Number two, you've got to volunteer today to be a poll watcher, to be an election official, to, giving you all the sites. Go to the site, link to it. Go directly there. To start making phone, get out the vote, start doing digital phone calls every night from your home. How many calls have you made? How many people you signed up? We have Vish. What is it? Persistence.
At the Persistence, right?
At the Persistence. At the Persistence. Another follower of War Room Pandemic.
Yeah. So actually, it's at Scott Pressler, and if you see, he tweeted out yesterday. You only have 19 days left to register new voters in Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Ohio, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. Voter registration cuts off in these states on October 5th. So get out there.
Scott Pressler is a patriot and American hero. This guy goes throughout the country. What's he trying to do? Get people signed up to vote, to participate. He's one of these unsung heroes.
And he's very good at it, too.
He's fabulous. He's fabulous. He's an American hero. This is the kind of guy everybody in the audience ought to say, I am Scott Pressler, right? You're not Spartacus, you're Scott Pressler. You're not Cory Booker, you're Scott Pressler. Scott Pressler is getting it done. He's not talking about doing it. What action have you taken today? Action, action, action. We're on the president all the time. Action, action, action. What action have you taken? So that's number one. Blow out the content. Number two, get engaged, involved. Do something today. And number three, get ready to gird your loins for the evening of November 3rd. That's when the combination of lawfare, of these phony ballots, the $60 to $80 million. I'm not saying all of them are phony, but what's the president saying? 10, 15, 20%? Hey, 1%, 0.1% are phony, then that's a problem. The left's got to understand, on the evening of November 3rd of the year of our Lord 2020, basically 47, 48 in a wake-up, Donald J. Trump is going to be leading in the vote that matters. And the vote that matters is the secret ballot that Americans have done. You go in, you pull the screen, you make your thing, put it right in there. Boom. No name on it. No address on it. No postage stamp on it. Not going into God knows where, looked at by who knows what. Weighed by the pound. No, it's the old way we vote. A secret ballot, ladies and gentlemen. And he will be leading that night. But Facebook's already said, we're not going to call it. This is Fareed Zakar. You got to get ready. I think we're going to have election month. No, sir, we're not going to have election month. We're having election day. Okay, you're going to have 9 weeks to try to undo that. You're not going to be able, Mika, embrace the suck. Okay, you're not going to be able to unwind a fact. Read it in Vanity Fair yesterday. That guy got it. The fact is that Donald J. Trump is going to be reelected on November 3rd. In the evening, that's going to become a fact. You're not going to be able to unwind that fact, right? As try as you may. All the lawfare, we got the New York Times, they got their war room. Thanks for copying our name. They got the war room. They got Obama's wingman, Holder. They got all his former U.S. attorneys, right? Got former solicitor generals all under Obama. Yep. This is the Obama restoration with Kamala Harris in the starring role. This is the Obama restoration. Not going to happen. So just embrace that. Let me go to Vish. You got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't know if you remember when we first mentioned this concept of election day not being a thing anymore. You said election week, and then you get big-footed by Fareed Zakaria later. It says election month.
Election month. It's a bidding contest. And by the way, it's all the way 9 months. The president now is woke. President said it. Hey, it's going to the House. They're going to vote. You got it. On January 6th, there's not going to be a slate of electors. They're not going to certify this election. On January 6th, the new Congress is going to come in, and that's going to be a whole fiasco about who gets seated, because then you're going to have a vote. But here is the reality. At high noon on the 20th of January, the year of our Lord 2021, Donald J. Trump is going to take the oath of office with his hand on the Trump family Bible. Okay? Take that to the bank. I want to bring in now talk about American heroes and patriots. Brian Kennedy, one of the smartest guys around, and he wrote one of these monographs for Encounter Books and the great team over Encounter. Communist, a very subtle title. Communist China's War Against America. Communist China's War Against America. And today we got a whole raft. We got Lee Smith coming on later, this great article in the tablet. So Brian Kennedy, you're not a hair on fire guy, right? You're very judicious. You're Claremont. You've been heads of many of these top organizations. You know, not only an intellectual yourself, you know how to manage intellectuals. So when Brian Kennedy writes, Communist China's war against America, walk us through what you mean and talk about what's happened since you put the book out, which is like every day. So tell us what this monograph is, and why would Brian Kennedy? And you've co-founded the Committee on the Present Danger and all these different operations and organizations. You're deep into this fight. Why the title, and what is the war against America?
Well, thanks, Steve. Great to be on the War Room. I listen to it most days, at least parts of it, and I always love it. I think it's great. I'm not a hair on fire guy, though I don't have any hair, so you might have said I lit it on fire. And now, but my friend Roger Kimball at Encounter Books asked if I'd write that because of all the things you were saying and I was saying about China. And my whole purpose was to try to explain to America that, in fact, we are at war with China, something you've been arguing here on the show for some time, but also that their goal is not necessarily to actually make war with us if they can get away with simply corrupting the United States and corrupting our business elites, corrupting the Davos crowd, corrupting everybody who makes all the decisions, whether it's our business class, financial class, political elites, you name it. If they can corrupt them, then they win. And I think that's substantially where they are today. Can they co-opt American elites and put pressure on the system so much that they win over time? And once we become that corrupt, all of a sudden we start doing the things that a corrupt people would do, such as elect people to office who are not serious about our national defense. We build down our military. We do all the things that a second-rate power becomes. And I guess my essential argument is this is what the Chinese strategy is: corrupt us from within and see if they can use that to become the dominant power on earth. And I think with the exception of the election of Donald Trump, which you were so much a part of, they have largely succeeded, unfortunately. And it's the job of people like us to push back and to get
I want to jump in for
not corrupt
and guys,
to go and understand this.
Guys, I want you to jump in here too, but I got to ask a question because Brian is one of the top intellectuals, and Roger Kimball is a not just a patriot, but man, that guy's his long march through the institutions. He's one of the leading intellectuals of the Trump movement. Brian, I see what they're doing here, and you see it every day with this convergence of lawfare, information warfare in the media, and what they're arguing they're going to do a street muscle. And I hear Tom Friedman, I hear other people. Am I off base? It seems like they almost, that this progressive left and the billionaire class and the party of Davos, they admire. They're buying into Xi's argument now that, hey, our system's better than the Alliance of Liberty. Our system's better than America, better than India, better than this democracy. We actually have a command and control economy. The combination of state capitalism and authoritarianism works, and our model is the future. And you hear this kind of being repeated by Tom Friedman and people like that because the Holy Trinity, their high moral crusade of climate change, of destroy the patriarchy, and crush the systemically racist American culture, right? That trifecta, that Holy Trinity, is now got them that it doesn't matter. We have to use whatever force we have to use, whether it's media force, information warfare force, the legal system, or just bring out street thugs like Antifa. Am I crazy in that, or because I'm now seeing it where legitimate, quote unquote legitimate guys and legitimate voices in the mainstream media are starting to talk about this, and she's pushing this hard.
Well, I think that's a perfect point. It works great, both communism of the kind that PRC practices, and how they've corrupted already the business class in their own country. The Chinese Communist Party is part of all the major businesses in China. They run those businesses at some fundamental level. Their goal is to do the exact same thing with all these American businesses. And the elites in the United States, from Wall Street to all the tech companies who are making, millions and millions and billions of dollars and doing very well, they see where they can work within that system, and they can be the oligarchs here in the United States, reporting to their Chinese masters, cooperating with their Chinese masters, and doing whatever it takes to make sure that we're intertwined. We, the United States, is intertwined with the PRC. And I think you see that happening over time, even during the Trump administration. And President Trump has, I think, been brilliant in trying to unwind that. I mean, this TikTok example is a good one that's just come up today. We'll see where the president goes with that, but I'd be very surprised if he goes along with letting Oracle buy only a part of TikTok. I mean, do Americans really want to have their tech industry run out of Beijing? And I think the answer is no. But right now, the Chinese are committed to making full-scale war, at least at the information level, maybe using these street thugs. I mean, the siege on Washington may or may not happen starting today. I think they are at least morally behind what goes on in Washington today when it comes to these protests. We'll see what happens. But the Chinese are at war, and it's up to the United States to respond. It's up to the American people to understand that. And it's up to the Trump administration really to push back and to figure out, how do you hold the Chinese at bay? How do you discipline the Chinese and make sure that this is not going to be a victory for them? That's the great challenge of our time.
Okay, we're going to return in a moment. Brian Kennedy's going to stay over. We're going to get those recommended answers that Brian Kennedy was in the Oval today with the president, what he would recommend for we win, they lose. Okay, hashtag war and pandemic in the live stream. You're on fire today. But we also want to know, besides your comments, your observations, and what you want to cover, what do you want us to cover in Vox Populi, we want to know what you're doing. Come forward. Tell us. Okay? Tell us what you're doing to get the content out, what you're doing to get the vote out, and what you're doing to secure the vote. Brian Kennedy will rejoin us next on War Room Pandemic.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire flambe delicious cherries jubilee. Plus it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, they're giving me studies on the deal. Has to be 100% as far as national security is concerned. And no, I'm not prepared to sign off on anything. I have to see the deal. We need security, especially after what we've seen with respect to China and what's going on. We want security. So I'll let you know. They're going to be reporting to me tomorrow morning, and we'll let you know.
What about the pay? That's President Trump on TikTok. Our guest is Brian Kennedy, author of Communist China's War Against America, and also the co-founder of the Committee on the Present Danger and one of the top national security experts, also one of the senior advisors to the American Bond Foundation. Jana was on here yesterday. Bianco, on fire. Those bonds got to be paid. We'll figure that out. American people can't get stiffed by the Chinese Communist Party. Brian, if you were in the Oval today, after the president got his report, what would Brian Kennedy's recommendation to the president of the United States on TikTok be?
I would say don't do the deal. And just because Oracle or someone may buy part of it doesn't mean that the U.S. citizens would be in any way protected from what China could possibly do. China lies. They are at war with the United States. And that's not a throwaway line. That's simply understanding them as they understand themselves. They believe they're at war with the United States. They declared last year a people's war against the United States to match all the things they've written before about unrestricted warfare, meaning they are willing to do anything in order to become the preeminent power on Earth. And that's how they think of themselves. And so when they give assurances, or their companies give assurances about American consumers being protected, that's completely meaningless. That's simply what you would say in a time of war, which makes all commercial relations with the PRC very problematic, right? Because, if they are at war, and they say they are, then can they be trusted at almost any level? So when it comes to TikTok, I tell the president not to do it, simply because they can't be trusted. I tell him, do that bond deal that you were talking about with John Bianco yesterday. The Chinese owe the American people money. That's the wealth of the American people that ought to be collected by the president. President needs to continue to rebuild the American military, because the Chinese are certainly building their military to challenge our safety and security. Those are three immediate things the president needs to do, along with holding them to account on every other commercial venture that we're currently engaged in with them.
Brian, this is Jack Maxey. There was an incredible article, op-ed in the New York Times today. I struggle to say that all in one sentence, called "Trump is Wrong About TikTok. China's Plans Are Much More Sinister," written by a guy named Yi Zhang Liang, the former editor of the Hong Kong Economic Journal. And he writes in here, and I think this is something that particularly any of our Vietnam vets out there will remember, the three-man Maoist teams in the Viet Minh and the Viet Cong. He writes, since China adopted the National Intelligence Law in June 2017, all Chinese citizens and companies have been under a legal obligation to help the government gather intelligence and keep any cooperation secret. The law allows China's intelligence services to embed their people and devices or to requisition facilities in this purpose. The Constitution of the Chinese Communist Party also essentially requires any company, this is my reference to Vietnam, with at least 3 party members to form a cell tasked with carrying out the party's wishes. It seems to me that we are taking big tech, Silicon Valley, major universities, and we're turning them into little offices inside Saigon prior to the Tet Revolt. I mean, these people are embedded everywhere in our culture, and their constitution requires that they create, anytime more than 3 of them are present, a Communist Party cell. I think it's high time at some point to cut the rope entirely, and I wonder what your thoughts are on that, Brian.
Well, I think that's exactly right, Jack. Jack is the voice of reason on this show, by the way. I very much enjoyed.
Brian Kennedy, for a low key guy, knows how to slide the knife in.
No, well, look, they have 370,000 students in the United States right now, all of whom have handlers in the United States that have to report to the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, they have to report to their Chinese Communist Party handlers here in the United States. 370,000 in our universities. What data and what data are they gathering? What relationships are they building? They are in our schools or in our graduate schools. They have professors coming over here. They are nearly everywhere. They're in our businesses. They're in Silicon Valley, Hollywood, you name it. They touch everything. Because as a large country, nearly 1.5 billion people who have an ambition to become the world's most powerful nation, they think this is simply what is required of them to do. And they can afford to do it. They make money doing it. And so that's going to continue unless we decouple, as the president has threatened to do. I think it's high time to draw a bright line between the Chinese Communist Party and its relationship with anything that touches the United States of America. And so,
let me go in for a second, because this is where the insidious nature of the Chinese Communist Party is. There's 1.4 billion people in China and only 92 million members of the Communist Party, and only 1,000 count, and 5 families run it, and they're virtually in the Gulf Emirates. We know from the whistleblower movement, New Federal State, all the organizations that are trying to, give us, and Bill Gertz reports in the Washington Times about the defectors in Europe from the labs. What they've done is they're trying to weaponize the actual Chinese people. This is not about the Chinese people. The Chinese people are our allies. Remember, it's their freedom that we're talking about. Only the Chinese people can bring down the Chinese Communist Party. Only the Chinese people can free themselves. We can assist it. But what they're doing by this law they passed that everybody's got to report in, everybody's got to form a cell, they're putting at risk the Chinese people. We don't want people, going after the Chinese people. That's not what this is about. This is about this evil power that's in back, that's infiltrated Wall Street, corporate America, Davos, the City of London, the Vatican. Our cultural institutions that now are trying to weaponize the Chinese people. In doing this, these students are coming over here to learn at Western universities. What do? They make them become intelligence assets. So when you say decouple, Brian Kennedy, that's the term that matters. What would you tell President Trump? You're in the Oval Office today, point blank, just Brian Kennedy and Trump. He's saying, Brian, I really respect you. I read the book. I like it. Tell me what I should do. When you talk about decoupling, what do you mean?
I mean just that. I would send all 370,000 Chinese students home unless the Chinese change their laws. Now, that would be a dramatic move all by itself. I would make sure that no Chinese national in this country, to the extent that he had to be subject to this national intelligence law of theirs, to that extent, how can we trust that he could be a good business partner with us anywhere? And so I would begin the process, I would tell the president, of getting those students out of the United States. They can go back to China where they can be educated. And I would begin the process, whether it was on Wall Street or Silicon Valley or anywhere in between, of making sure that we simply, the things that we did with China, we figure out ways of doing here in the United States.
So we got about 3 minutes left. We're like coke addicts. The stock market's Brian Kennedy comes on CNBC tomorrow and say, hey, I just left Trump Oval Office. I said we got to decouple. We got to decouple out of Silicon Valley, although they announced they were going to do it back in the spring of 19. But we got to do it today. We got to shut down TikTok, just shut it down. I want all American capital. I want all these companies delisted. I don't want any more loans. I don't want anything. When I say decouple, I want a hard decouple, not just send these kids back. I want a hard decouple. Stock market's going to go to 15,000. What do you say to? Because that's what Mnuchin, that's what all these guys are going to say. If you listen to crazies like Brian Kennedy, whose head's on fire, not his hair's on fire, you're going to implode the Trump economy. What say you, sir?
Well, I mean, look, that's the constant threat, the stock market. But of course, the stock market is not a measure of American economic strength. It's all those people in the middle of the country who are doing all the work of the country. America could today build big cities. We have plenty of land. We have a lot of people. We have these crazy environmental policies, and we have all sorts of regulatory policies that have been standing on the throats of entrepreneurs. We need to unleash the economy, which is largely what Trump is doing. If you look at the rest of the country, not the stock market, the rest of the country, it is thriving and it will continue to thrive. That's the measure of Trump's success, not the stock market. The stock market can be manipulated. It has been manipulated, and it doesn't give you a real measure of the economic health of the United States. Name me a single thing, with the exception of like pharmaceuticals, which we make in China. Name a single thing we can't make here in this country. And I would argue we need to make it right now, because if we don't, we will find ourselves, not today, not tomorrow, but very soon, in complete subjugation to the PRC. Because they're
Brian,
going to
real
control
quick, Brian,
all major avenues of power in this country.
You got 30 seconds. Tell me why America should care about paying these bonds back. Why should we force China to pay their bonds back? Why should anybody care?
Well, it's almost $2 trillion worth of wealth of the American people. In any kind of settlement that the Trump administration could get, the vast majority of the money goes to the American people. And so, President Trump's a businessman. Is he going to leave $1 trillion or more of American wealth on the table with the PRC? I don't think so. The PRC wouldn't do it. They would demand collection right now.
Brian Kennedy, we're going to get your Twitter handle up when we come back. Thank you very much, Brian Kennedy.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
I sent your new prescription to the pharmacy. Any idea how much it will cost? You have a choice. Insurance or GoodRx? I have insurance. Insurance is not what it used to be. People struggle to get their prescriptions covered, and prices keep rising. I recommend GoodRx. You get free coupons to save on your prescriptions. Compare prices to find the best discounts.
GoodRx. Smart.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
You notice how Jack and Rahima kind of sullen today? You know, it's just...
I'm enjoying the day off.
Brian Kennedy. When Jack Maxey's the voice of reason, oh my God. He's the voice. That's Vox Populi right there. That's the voice. I would say voice of the people. I don't know if I call it voice of reason.
Listen, the biggest thing he said, and I've been saying it since day one, why in God's name do we have 370,000 mainland Chinese students here who may be fine people on an individual level, but who are being controlled by the strings of puppet masters in Beijing is, to me, one of the most ridiculous things ever.
I know, but here's my point. Yes, that is a problem, but you can't get into the thing of demonizing the Chinese people. I understand they had to sign this thing. Let's go after the big dogs. Get the money out of Silicon Valley. Get the money out of Wall Street. Get all the American. Listen. It is the deplorables capital. It's your retirement funds. Zuckerberg and these guys don't have any money. All of that has gone to fund the factories going to China. That's the scam. And yes, don't get me wrong. When they've weaponized these students by passing that law and making them do that, but all of the information the 370,000 students could get to the 10th power is not as big as getting them out of Wall Street. This is my point. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. This is in your grill. Remember, let's go back to the third week of January of 2017. There are 2 speeches given. Xi goes to Davos. He walks through the whole plan. He walks through globalization and really a network effect. But what they want is the destruction of the sovereign state, right? They want to have a network effect. The Middle Kingdom and their, Made in China 2025, which, by the way, the president said in the Woodward book, I loved it. Made in China 2025, One Belt, One Road, Huawei, quantum computing, all of it. Okay, the convergence of that. Then the network effect where everybody else is just a market, raw materials, human resources, right? And he brags about it. This is the winner. And all the investment bankers and hedge fund guys and the McKinsey consultants and Booz Allen, all these guys, the law firms, the accounting firms, all the media, they're high-fiving. This guy's amazing. He's amazing. And what does she say? Well, we have a problem. The problem is the populism. Why did Wang Xishan want to see me for 3 hours? You know what? They understand mass movements. They were at one time supposed to be the populist. They're the followers of the Taiping Rebellion. They're supposed to be the populist. There's just bait and switch. It's just nothing but it's just more imperial. It's just the imperial power. She's the last emperor. So, and Trump gives his speech 48 hours later, American carnage, right? The key line was supposed to be, now comes the hour of action. His was a defense of the Westphalian system. His is a defense of the nation state. That is imperfect as it is. This is still the way that most of the grundoons, the deplorables, Lao Beijing, have a shot to have some freedom. And yes, I understand the Chinese students are a problem, but my problem is once you start going in that direction, you're missing the point of the big dogs. What I want them out of Silicon Valley. I want to shut down TikTok. I want to get their hands off of our pension money. I want to shut these guys down on Wall Street. Then I want to clean out this rat's nest that is Washington, D.C., the permanent political class. And now maybe pivot to our guest, Lee Smith, a great investigative reporter, wrote The Plot Against the President. During the impeachment, we'd have Lee on all the time. Now he's written a powerful new book, The Permanent Coup. But on top of that, he's got in the 2 most powerful things I've read, Jack, recently are the editorial today in the New York Times, God bless him, by Yi Zhang Lian, the chief editor of the Hong Kong Economic Journal. You got to read this. We got it up. Trump is wrong about TikTok. China's plans are much more sinister. He goes pure Bannon on you. It's genius. That's what we talked about. And then Lee Smith the other day in Tablet Magazine. Lee Smith cuts to the heart of it. The CCP's tech partners, they own The Atlantic, they own the Washington Post. This is not random that you see the information warfare popping up on Trump. Lee Smith gives you the whole schematic. So, Jack, don't get me wrong. I understand, and the students are an issue. What's bigger issue is the consulting firms in the weapons labs. I got that's all problem. My point is that people focus on that, and we miss the overall. As Jack puts another pinch between his cheek and gum. I wonder why you're coughing all the time.
Well, coffee in Copenhagen, it keeps a man strong.
Jack Maxey, the one and only. Okay, I want to bring in Lee Smith. Lee, walk us through. I'm just going to pitch the ball to you. The Tablet Magazine piece is amazing. Walk us through. You've unearthed it. Just take us through it.
Well, look, I think the big point is here, the title of the new book is The Permanent Coup. So why has this been going on for 4 years? It starts with the collusion nonsense, rolls into the Mueller investigation, from there to Ukraine Gate, impeachment, the weaponization of the coronavirus, now the razing and looting of American cities. Why has this been going on so long, right? The press always will go after Republican candidates. Republican presidents will always be targeted. But what we've seen here is something very different. It's not just the length, it's the use of, first of all, the intelligence community, intelligence officials. And now we see current and former Pentagon officials who are playing a role. Well, the thing is to look at who is running the information campaign. And the information campaign, the main platform for 4 years has been the Washington Post. Why? Is it just that Jeff Bezos has it out for Donald Trump? He bought the Washington Post in 2013 before Donald Trump, while Donald Trump was still hosting a famous television show. Jeff Bezos and others were preparing for the time when someone was going to come in, as had happened in the past, as Dick Gephardt had in the late 80s and early 90s someone who was complaining about the trade surplus and saying, this is killing Americans. This is bad for the United States, and it's bad for U.S. national security. So that's what the tech oligarchs were preparing for, and that's the purpose of these different platforms. And now we've seen information operation after information operation targeting the president. If you look at the most recent, the most famous one, right, or the most recent famous one, it came out of the Atlantic. This is owned by Apple heiress, the widow of Stephen Jobs. So that's the larger purpose. We've been speaking about things rightly. We've been speaking about things like the deep state for 4 years, and it's right to get a proper understanding of that. But when you look at what's hold
it, be granular though. Talk about what the Atlantic dropped and how powerful it was and what they tried to do.
Well, look, it wasn't. The purpose of the Atlantic story is to go after a particular part of Trump's base, right? I mean, I think he's probably trying to wedge away a whole bunch of independents, people who now are extremely concerned to see American cities being destroyed by Joe Biden supporters. So I think that's the nominal purpose of the campaign, right? The idea was. But
I'm talking about the veteran story. I'm talking about the veteran story. They're trying to ice. He's trying to ice the military in case there's any necessary. Listen, these people are violent. They're proud of being violent. They're going to come. That story, when it was dropped before Labor Day weekend, understanding it's going to be a slow news weekend, the way it was dropped, all anonymous sources. And I can tell you, having gone to Gettysburg with Donald J. Trump, having spent many hours with him talking about military history, being a former veteran myself, or I guess a current veteran, right, with 7.5, 8 years of naval service, and then my daughter at West Point and part of the 101st in Iraq. He reveres the military. I've never heard any mention of anything in that article. That article, those are lies. Those are lies, and they're trying to condition the military. That's what's so powerful about your piece. Jobs and these guys are all in bed with the CCP, had these media platforms that are part of this permanent coup.
I think that's the larger point of this operation. And actually, it's very disturbing because we've seen all this stuff stacking up. We've seen people threatening violence. We've seen people, enacting violence, but we've seen it around election time as well. And one of the things that we've seen coming out of these reports from the, from the left about what will happen around election time is the important factor presumably would be which way the Pentagon goes. And we've already seen former Pentagon officials, most notably James Mattis, threatening Esper and Milley at the top of the Pentagon, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the defense secretary. This was Mattis again in the Atlantic June 3rd article. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a very dangerous thing. So when we're talking about the permanent coup, the idea that the military, that former senior officials are now involved in this is extremely troubling.
Are you shocked in the Woodward book that Mattis and Coates have not come forward and denied that? No, by the way, Dan Coates to me should be brought in. He should be brought in by the FBI immediately. If he sat there and said, hey, we have to take collective action, to me, that is the discussion of a coup and should be dealt with immediately.
Absolutely. I'll tell you the part of the story I don't believe. I hate to make judgments on a man's faith, but I hardly believe that James Mattis was praying in Washington's National Cathedral when the guy was basically defending the razing and looting of St. George's Church. So that's okay to burn and to tear down St. George's Church, to attack that, and then to justify it, call it peaceful protesting in order to attack the president. But here we're supposed to imagine that James Mattis is really praying for the future of the country when the president is thinking about sending out troops to protect American lives and American businesses. But James Mattis is so noble; he's there in front of the bier of Woodrow Wilson, wondering which way the country will go. That, I think, is nonsense. The discussion of the coup, that I believe 100%.
I want to just make sure I get your thesis here in tablet. You're saying that you believe that these tech barons in business with the Chinese Communist Party are owning now and taking huge positions in these media companies, and they're using this as part of the information warfare against President Trump and really the nationalist movement, the populist movement that's trying to fight for the sovereignty of the country and trying to take on the CCP. That's your thesis.
Yeah, it's important. I think I try to explain it as clearly as possible in the article. It's not about China per se. It's not that the Atlantic magazine or the Washington Post is pro-China. What they're doing is defending the relationship between the tech oligarchs, the tech barons, as you call them, as well as the political establishment and the cultural establishment. This is very important, whether we're talking about Hollywood, whether we're talking about the NBA, whether we're talking about the art world and art galleries, the amount of money that they've made from China. So that's the purpose of the information operations targeting Trump. They're protecting their lifeline, right? It's not so much that they're protecting the CCP, though we do see that often enough. But the large part, again, their center of gravity, the establishment center of gravity is that relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. That's what they're defending, the relationship.
Okay, we've got about 30 seconds left. I want to talk the book. Where can people get the book? How do they get the book? Are you going to have any? I realize with the CCP virus, you can't do the book signings, or they're harder to do. Where can people find you and find out about the book? The book is The Permanent Coup. It's available today. Go to Amazon. But where do they get this? How do they get more information? What's your Twitter handle? What's the book's website? All of it.
At Lee Smith DC, the website. Actually, I don't have a website describing the book, but I mean, follow me on Twitter and Parler as well. I'm putting out all sorts of information there. And I have to say, I always like to encourage people to, if they have a local independent bookseller, to go to them. It's been a very tough time for all of our fellow Americans who own small businesses, especially small bookstores. And this is a key institution in our society. So I like to encourage people, if they can, to go to their local independent bookseller.
Lee Smith, the author of The Permanent Coup, on Amazon today, or at your local bookseller. We'll be back in a second.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain, and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something.
If you can find something to help you get back out and be active, like Copperfit, go for it.
Absolutely.
Do not give up. A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha. The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness. During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification, and when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters, or spot thieves before they even get close. Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars with laser illumination technology for just $39.99. You'll also get a protective carrying case, yours free. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight, just pay separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-788-1008. That's 1-800-788-1008. Or visit BuyNightHero.com. That's BuyNightHero.com. Order now.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Yeah, it's actually going to be very, very far from okay. I was reading over the weekend one of the books that the Transition Integrity Project has based a lot of its scenarios on. The book is by Professor Edward Foley. It's called Ballot Battles. And very clearly in the first chapter, I think it's even the prologue, what Foley does is set up a false impression that the U.S. electoral system is not fit for purpose and requires a French or British style electoral commission. These are people who are, supposedly impartial and apolitical, although if the Brexit vote taught us anything in the United Kingdom, it's that the electoral commission will actually weigh in on the side of the political establishment. It will be stacked to the decks, to the gunnels with globalists. And that seems to be where they're going with this. I fully expect by November the 4th, at the latest.
Well, we have breaking news, Mr. Raheem. By the way, the only way Raheem could get to a mic today was have to go back and recut some stuff he said before. A cold open with Raheem.
Kind of predicted this. CNN breaks this morning that Dan Coates, former Director of National Intelligence, has called on Congress to create a commission to oversee the election.
You can't make this up. Raheem, that may be one of the best called shots. You've had a tremendous run on called shots. That was one of the best you've ever had. To warn people what they're trying to do, take it. They're trying to take. They don't. Here's the commission you need: a private vote, right? That's it. Hey, suck on that. Dan Coates. Dan Coates is terrible. Dan, brother. Hey, Dan, you're one of these swamp creatures. We're going to make you so famous. We're going to make you so famous. You are going to regret, sir, the day that you went along with this coup. Why did you not come forward immediately? If Jim Mattis told you that there should be collective action, you owed it to your country. You owed it to your oath to the Constitution. Forget Donald Trump. You owed it to this republic to come forward immediately, sir. And you have not denied what's in. You have not denied what's in Woodward's book. And the reason you haven't denied it, he's got you on tape. Okay, he's got you on tape. On your quote-unquote deep background. He's got you on tape. You have not denied it. And now you've come out with this crap. Okay, it's not okay. Note to self, Dan Coates, it's not going to be electoral commission. All you did was out yourself. This is like in The Godfather, at the cemetery. You'll know who the guy is when he comes forward to make the deal. Dan, you just outed yourself. This is because you're also, Dan, I know you. You're dumb as a stone. Dan Coates is actually a moron. No, you saw his. No. I first interviewed. I said, "Good God, this is what the United States Senate is." Indiana, one of the great. Hey, I love Hoosiers. You got Jim Banks. You got some great guys there, Braun. But man,
we love Hoosiers. We don't love losers.
Yeah. No, Dan Coates. This is just not a bright guy. Nervous. I remember he's testifying. He's wetting himself. Right. Dan Coates. Dan, we invite you on. Senator Coates, invite you on. Come on. We will rip your face off. What are you talking about? You don't know anything. This is the problem with the national security apparatus. You got too many hangers-on like this, right? These guys kind of drifting in and out, going to the ambassador party, signing up as a consultant and advisor. This is the problem. Okay, I want to give a special shout-out. And I want anybody else in hashtag War Room Pandemic. And by the way, I read these things all the time. Where'd it go? Gosh. Daggone it. Oh, here it is. Christopher James, at Stag at Sharkies. And by the way, your stuff's amazing. He's normally got deep philosophical stuff. I read all this all the time. Today, hashtag War Room Pandemic. Number one, I retweet War Room clips, and yesterday I talked to a contact of mine, middle market CEO, about why he should watch this show. Number one. Number two, signed up with re-election team, and I am signed up to knock on doors Saturday. I will ask about calling. Number three, registered as an election official. Christopher James, I want everybody in this audience to throw your shoulder to the wheel like Christopher James. This is a patriot. The time for talk is over. The time for listening is over. The time for sitting on your ass is over. This is the time for action, action, action. We're on Donald J. Trump every day. Action, action, action. It's time for everybody to follow and emulate Christopher James at Stag, at Sharkies, and to take action. Right?
That's the only way we're going to win.
This is the only way you're going to. This is the only way. Look, this is the way you're going to save this republic. This is its moment of crisis. This is a fourth turning. This is a crisis like the Revolution. This is a crisis like the Civil War. This is a crisis like the Great Depression of World War II. Okay? This is the fourth great turning in American history. It's going to be one thing or the other on the other side of this. It's either going to be what was bequeathed to us, or it's going to be totally different. And you can see what's different. Look at the CCP. Is it going to be Communist China? No, it's not going to be Communist China. But that's the model they want. They want state capitalism. You want to see what state capitalism is? Look at Facebook. Look at Twitter. Dr. Yan gets on. Tucker Carlson's the biggest show on TV. He's a beast. This is a monster show. He gets on there, biggest following I think they've ever had. Boom, down on Twitter. Boom, down on Facebook. Hey, how about this, Tucker Carlson? That's how big you are. This is Zuckerberg. Guy was a thief, stole the thing from Harvard. This guy's a bad unit. He's a bad unit.
Was that eunuch?
No. Okay, I'm not even getting to the... I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I'm not saying he's an alien, although somebody the other day said he's not alien, he's AI. I'm not saying that.
But there are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences.
Hey, listen.
Check the blood. I want to check his blood pressure.
While we're trying to inspire the American people and inspire the president to do something right, and we talk about TikTok and what needs to be done and with these other Chinese apps, I'd like to make a shout out to all of our friends in India. Today is the 70th birthday of Prime Minister Modi, and I just want to say, Jai Hind, what a great leader you are, and I look forward to us becoming better and better friends in this alliance of liberty as we take on the Communist Party of China.
By the way, Dave Ramaswamy, Jay Cancero, the whole team over there, the Howdy Modi crowd, biggest event President Trump's ever had, and in the pandemic, went over to India and had a great event. Just amazing. And now they're talking about, I saw an article in Politico, it looks like because of Kamala Harris and her Indian heritage, she may not make as much traction, but hey, it is what it is, right? What we love Modi. We love Modi, and we love what you're doing up on the Chinese-occupied Tibet border, right? Standing up the PLA, right? Mm-hmm. The PLA, and PLA, hey, PLA guys, one day you're going to help. You got to make a choice, PLA, to back the Chinese people or to back the regime. That day's coming. That day's coming. Okay, Raheem Kassam, what's on National Pulse today?
Good. Congressman Jim Banks will be joining us.
Wow,
today.
Hoosier. Good Hoosier.
We'll be talking about the steal. I'll also be talking about George Soros, much to some people's chagrin, but we'll talk about George Soros and his influence in all of this. It's a big show today.
I'll be down on the 99th birthday of my dad, and then back tonight. Hopefully Tucker. See you guys then.